Alrighty, so here's the steel frame here in my work area. As you can see, I have the corner pieces put on that the back of the box goes up to, and otherwise the whole frame is constructed. So all that's left to do is some finalized grinding, and then obviously painting, etc. Here we have the inside of the bottom, should I say, all carpeted. So I've got the battery rack, the battery holder carpeted there. The main floor, obviously both sides carpeted. Now the grey I've got here, I couldn't get anything that was like even close to the actual grey in the Jackaroo. But the grey I've got here is similar to the trim, the actual plastic trim, so I went with that. And I also carpeted the back of these pieces, as you can see there. So what I did is I went round with a 1/8 of an inch router bit, whole way round them, and so that I could tuck it in. And as you can see, I carpeted those sides. You're probably never going to see them because I did tint the windows 5%, but I didn't ever want to see any wood from any angle. And so by doing that, obviously the batteries are inside of that thing, so you'll never see that bit of MDF on the inside of that. So this is the floor. Now what I did is I went around with a rabbiting bit and cut it out so the carpet sits flush with the wood. Put a few staples in it just in case it never peels up on me. But I also put this here. So what this is just a very rough looking frame underneath, pretty much to stop it bending. It's going to have a bit of weight on it. It is supported the entire way around by the actual steel cage, but I just thought I'd whack that in there, and that's just going to give it a bit of a support in the middle. Obviously for it to bend now, it has to actually bend double thickness 18mm for it to bend now. So I didn't want to do too much because I didn't want to make it too heavy, but that's just a little bit of extra bracing. Now there's the amp rack after 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of satin black, and now I've just hit it with a wet coat of clear. So it is wet right now, that's why it's extremely shiny looking. After 1 coat of just primer so far. So just letting that all dry out. Use a whole can of primer just to do 1 coat. Alrighty, and here's the frame. Just painted it with the first coat of silver. So that's the colour I'm doing the frame. I mean, it looks pretty cool actually, silver. Yeah, gives it a metal look to it. I'm not trying to hide the fact that it's a steel frame, so kind of, yeah, I reckon it looks alright actually. Nice and shiny. So, alright, that's 1 coat. I'll probably do 2 coats of silver and then 1 or 2 of clear. So back up here at the car, and as you can see, I've taken the seat belts out, the rear 6 and 7 seat seat belts, because I'll never use them ever again. I've never actually used them the whole time I had the car. I've put the floor in. As you can see, the carpet's back in. So I've got to vacuum that, and I've also got to work out what I'm doing with wiring. So I've got my negatives running straight through there. They're coming straight from the chassis. I had, with the length that I had them, the only options I could do was either run them loosely around there or run them through there, or make new ones. I thought, rather than waste the wire that I've got, I'll just use them. Alrighty, and they are the LEDs that will be shining on the amps, wired up. So got 1 up high, 1 down low, and then I've got the 1 in the center on both sides, with just some nice black cloth tape in between them. These come in a big strip of 10 for $30 from Jackaroo. So they're just 3 little LEDs. What's cool though is because they're all linked, I didn't have to solder any of that. That was all, I just cut it off and added a length, but they're already joined, so I didn't have to do any joins in between them. And for $30 for 10, $3 a piece, that's not a bad little LED. Okay guys, and now there we have the frame installed, the carpet trim installed on the sides and bottom. I've got the battery rack installed and the 3 batteries. Now, I was going to film in between and just show you what the rack looked like in there and then etc, but the camera went flat, and rather than wasting an hour doing nothing while it charged, I just went ahead and did it. So, I'll show you how it's all in there though. So we've got the frame here, okay, bolted in, as you can see there. Had to cut the washers, gigantic washers, in half. Bolted in there, bolted in there. There's also bolts underneath and underneath, as you already know. I did put some Loctite on those ones that are underneath as well, just because I'll never be able to tighten them or get to them, you know, without taking everything out. What's next? The side panels actually pressure fitted in there really well, to the point where I could have actually just let them sit there, but you know, this is going to have a lot of bass and vibrations. I don't need these falling off. So what I used is some, see, I've got the screws here. I'll show you. These are like a roofing screw. Actually come with a little like rubber washer on them already as well. And so they're a bolt. Use those, they go straight through the metal. So I pre-drilled a hole into the metal. And so there's two there, two there, two, and then on the actual floor I've got one here, here, and then the same in the back. Obviously my beauty panel, when I make it, will go in front of them, and you'll never see any of them at all. Same with the LEDs, you won't actually ever see them, the actual physical LEDs themselves. That's that all bolted in. Then we got battery rack here, 3 screws in, just L brackets on the front, L bracket, little ones on the back there. Simple as, that's obviously holding all the batteries. They are so close as well, they're like millimeter close to fitting underneath of the actual frame, but they fit. I knew they'd be close, but that's fine, because obviously the ring terminals go lower. Where else? What else have I got to show you? I did flip these around, so the cables are actually going through the top there, and they'll be attached to the sides running around that way, rather than having them go underneath. So same as, like, obviously you can see now that gap, but when you put the box on you can't actually see inside there, so you can't see that gap. What else? I'll walk around here and show you. So on the back side, I had a piece of wood just so I could make sure I got that perfectly flat, but as you can see, there's still another piece of panel that'll go on these pieces of steel right across, obviously, and cover that up with fans here on the sides, and then another panel in front of that that will actually hug right up to the car edge. I've got the amp rack here with the focal on it, as you see right there. Now, so it comes to mounting the focal. Now these are the actual mounting screws that come with it, but as you'll see here, when they drop in, they're too long and would actually come through the bottom of my amp rack. So what I've done is get the screws. I get 3 of those tiny little, they're actually nuts, thin little nuts, which, as you can see, once you put them on there, drop it in there now, and now the screw doesn't go through my actual amp rack. So just the little things like that, you know, if you didn't think about it, screwed it in, it went through, it'd look shit, because you'd have a hole in the bottom of your amp rack. I can't get that with one hand. As you see here, we got the 5K mounted, not wired up yet. Oh, it is on that side. And then the the 4-channel mounted, and it is wired up though. So that is New Concepts 4-gauge, but that is not the KCCA. That is the OFC. So that's the top. That's the good New Concepts on there as on there. What else have I got to show you? Yeah, as you can see there, OFC. Then we've got RCA's Stinger 4000 series, and then my speaker wire, remote wire, etc. I got a really thick remote wire in there, so it looked nice. Well, that's about it for now. So that's part 2 over. And so keep watching. I'll hopefully have some sound in part 3, and we'll have this whole bottom finished off, and then we'll start working on the box.